What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled and I'm very appreciative, man. I appreciate it. Now, forgive how I'm looking today. I am hung the fuck over. Yes, indeedy. I had a fantastic weekend, and the weekend just kept going and going and going, and the beat went on like a whisper song. She kept calling, and you know, tortas are us. I have a soft spot in my heart for tortas, and when I find one that can cook good, I got her shook good. She's in the bathroom and she could book one. Ooh wee! I said ooh wee. Well, she got clowned. Ooh wee! And she's probably watching this right now. Anyways, trip out on this. I wanted to talk about some videos that were made quite recently. And about Savage Studios. Rest in peace to Savage Studios, man. You know, that individual right there, man. It was a tragedy. A tragic loss for, I think, social media. Because someone so talented and someone who I feel's life was taken too soon. Is someone that can never come back. There can never be another Savage Studios, man. He was unique in what he did. And I'm not here to highlight, you know, everything that he did on YouTube and to say that, you know, he didn't deserve it. But I don't think anybody deserves, you know, to lose their life, especially when they have a family, they have a child, you know. But that's the life you live, man. If you take life for granted, if you think you're big and bad, if you have them type of ways about you, the ways that you have will catch up to you. You put out what energy you put out into this world is the energy you get back. Let's just say that's a true story. I used to not believe that. I used to think, that's caca. Hey, people say karma, all that. It is what it is. I'm just living, right? Until shit caught up to me before. And I'm like, okay, that's exactly what it is. What they say it is what it is. True stories, man. Karma definitely caught up to Savage Studios. Or did it? Or was it just the energy he was putting out there in the world? So a couple years ago, man, Savage Studios was killed. Ultimately, you know, he dropped his location and he was caught slipping, man. Someone had murderous intentions towards him. Okay. Now this guy made a lot of enemies on social media. More than are even talked about, man. I seen a video the other day. I was in the video, Anil Tazad, several other content creators, and it said that he had made a long list of enemies in the YouTube world. Not necessarily enemies, I would say, but more so people that he had disagreements with or he didn't agree with on certain things. And there was some back and forth. There was some clowning. There was some harsh words, man. I remember it got to the point where I had to make a phone call. I had to call Savage Studios, man. I had to track his number down through people that we happen to know, mutual contacts. And I was hot. I was pissed, man. That guy was one of the only guys that have really gotten under my skin. And it was just not the fact of what he was saying was true, the shit he was talking, but the fact that he was relentless in his pursuit of talking shit about my family and things like that. And you know, you can only take so much. Say what you will about me, but when you start talking about people's families and all that, we tend to get a little crazy. Now, have I ever done it? Yes, I have, man. I think we all have. We get a little too ahead of ourselves, and we want to say whatever will hurt the individual the most. So there was conversations that were had. There was white flags that were waved. There was an understanding that if we ever seen each other, man, you know, we'd have to go in that backyard and handle business. And we left it at that. Now, when he died, I didn't wish that upon him, man. I don't wish death upon anyone. It's just not something I play with, right? Ultimately, I felt sorry for the guy. Sorry for his family and his kid, you know, that I could see there was two sides to him. And anyone that ever talked to him behind the scenes could tell you there was two sides to him. There was that craziness, calling people out, I fucking can't nobody see me type mentality. Everyone could get it. And then there was the true man who I believe he was fighting for, which was just a family man, an actual good dude, man, that found himself, you know, in an unusual place and didn't know how to handle the pressure of being a content creator or, you know, being told that what he was pressing and what he was representing wasn't what he thought it was. You see, a lot of these guys get locked up, man, and wherever your path takes you when you're incarcerated is where your path takes you. And in Savage Studios' case, man, it took him to a place where he decided what he was functioning up under, what he was doing, for what cause he was fighting for, he no longer wanted to fight for that cause. That's fine. A lot of people do that. They realize, hey man, this ain't for me. Maybe the group that I'm hanging around with, man, they're feeding me propaganda, whatever you want to say, okay? And then you go to the other side, you fall off, you fall back, you say, look, I'm not gangbanging no more, I don't want to be a part of that. And then you join something else, right? And you realize it's pretty much the same damn thing. The only difference now is however you want to justify the reason you did it is how you want to justify it. But people are going to look at you a certain type of way. They're going to say, bro, how the fuck did you drop out of something and just involve yourself in another thing? And I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of different history of doing that, and their reasonings are their reasonings. You know, I've heard things like, you know, hey, I got over here and these guys show me real canalismo, or I got over there and, you know, I'm not trying to have another man tell me what to do. Look, if you're in prison, there's always going to be a man telling you what to do. Whether it's your own homeboys, whether it's your group or an organization, or it's the cop turning the key, you are being told what to do. The judge told you, get your ass to prison. The lawyer, the DA told you, you are convicted, right? The jury told you, we find you guilty. And your homeboys say, hey, Holmes, here's a piece. Handle your business. You are in a long line. You are in the fucking being told what to do business. And that's just what it is. And it doesn't matter if you're black, brown, white, doesn't matter, brother. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be a man telling you what to do, and there's going to be someone telling them what to do. Ultimately, you have to understand that people that try to be like, oh, I'm my own man. Yeah, you are your own man. At the end of the day, you make your own decisions. But them decisions can be easily influenced by another man telling you exactly what are your options on those decisions. You're always put in a box. That's part of the criminal ways. That's part of everything. There's always going to be someone that's making the master plan and someone that's dictating your program. You have to understand that. So anyway, Savage Studios found himself on the other side and joined a very well-known dropout gang, right? The 2-5ers. And I think where Savage went wrong, and we're going to get to the whole, what I truly believe is one of the reasons why he got hit, right? Because there's a lot of propaganda going on out there. There's a lot of stories about why this guy, Manuel Robledo, right, actually and factually killed Savage Studios. Now, he's been convicted of it. He got 25 to life. He's sitting down in Calipatria prison for it right now. And I'm sure only ultimately he could tell you what was going through his mind and why he did it. While he did it or why he did it. You know, only he knows. We could speculate. There's a lot of stories out there. But I think I've uncovered the truth. I think I've kind of figured it out. And this is just my perspective on it. But Savage Studios joining the 2-5 gang, what I think where it steered him wrong is when he started on YouTube as a content creator, he left the impression he was still activated. He left the impression that he was still with the business as far as Southern California, Southsiders, right? I won't say Sureños because he was never a Sureño. There's a difference there, and I'm not going to explain that in this content, right? There's a lot of people that throw the Sureño word around that don't understand there's a difference between Southerners, Southsiders, and Sureños, right? And that's for prison, and that's their politics. But look, Trip, so ultimately, I don't believe he achieved that status. He was just a Southsider. But a lot of people believed, you know, that's what he was. And that helped him to increase viewership. That helped people to respect him on a certain level. You know, everybody, even people that have not been locked up, they want to respect general population convicts. They want to respect people who've really been on them yards. Even though some guys on the other side have been on the same exact yards, it's just a street thing. It's what's been propagandized in your mind to make you believe that one guy is more tougher than the other because because people said he is, right? Because he's in bad standings or he's in good standings. There's a difference there. And there is a difference. Don't get it twisted. There is. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not here to say who's right and who's wrong. A man is a man, and he's going to be judged and stand on his own merits. Now, I think that in itself, when it was exposed that Savage was a 2-5 guy, it even built his viewership up more because he was the only one doing it at that time. And people were kind of intrigued by the unicorn shit of it. You know, no one had ever seen what a 2-5er really is. What is that? You know? And he was starting to, I think at first, you know, he covered his chin up. He covered his tattoo up. He was trying to distance himself from that. When he realized, hey, this is it. I'm exposed. Hey, I got to be transparent. He ran with it. And what I believe is he started to basically trying to indoctrinate people into all the reasons why that organization, that group that he joined was better than the group that he had left. That's where he fucked up. That's where he made a mistake. Okay, to each man their own. But when you're spitting and spreading poison, that's going to make you stand out amongst all the other guys that are in bad standings. That's going to make you a target. That's going to make people not like you because you're going against the grain, man. Whatever you believe, that's your propaganda. That's your shit. But now when you're spreading it to other people, what you're doing is you're causing chaos. You're causing disruption. You're causing future soldados or people, that are looked at as future gente to function on the yards to doubt that, to second guess. You're spreading false flags and you're spreading a propaganda. Now, according to him, his group was superior for all the reasons he said they were. But at the end of the day, man, like I said, it's all the same damn thing. It's a bunch of guys that get together for the protections of oneself and to push their narrative. Period. That's it. Now, a lot of these guys that have defected from other gangs, you got to understand these dropout gangs, I'm not here to woof on them. I don't know them like that. But there's a lot of people that are involved in those that have, they'll sit there and say, we're with it, we're active, we're with the program. But a lot of those guys in the beginning, maybe not necessarily now. Now they're recruiting people right off the bus. Now they're recruiting people right off the back of a cop car. Now they're recruiting people from the streets. Whereas before they were righteous dropouts, people that have dropped out of organizations or people that had dropped out from the prison gangs and had joined their ranks, right? So a lot of these guys were stone cold killers. A lot of these guys had been somewhere, but a lot of these guys had found themselves in bad standings, whether it be a drug debt, a wrong move, whatever. Some guys righteous shit, some guys dirty politicking, whatever. They formed this group for protection, and that's what it was. Now, somewhere in the middle of the 2000s, it started to get real tricky because what you had is a lot of guys that weren't cut from the cloth, that couldn't hack it on these main lines, that were falling off. And then when they got to a more comfortable yard, an SNY yard, they realized, hey, I want to be one of the fellas. And they were being accepted because they were trying to build numbers. And in that case in point, a lot of those guys that weren't cut from that cloth had either told, had debriefed, had did certain things to get off those yards, or just told the cops straight up, I'm scared to go to that yard. I don't want to go. It came to a point in the 2000s where you would be on the bus from your reception to your mainline prison. And the cops would get on there and they'd say, okay, look, this is the way it is. This is whoop-de-whoop prison. You're here now. This is the way it's going. You ain't running shit. We're running the program, and that's what they want to tell you. But ultimately, the inmates run the asylum. So you might get in there and yes, the cops have the keys and they have the ultimate say so. But they kind of take a step back. They take a backseat driver position and let the convicts, old school convicts, run the program, the gangs and everything, because that's just the way it's going to be no matter what. They let them do their thing. So anyways, they would get on the bus, true stories. They would get on the bus and they tell you as you're getting off the bus, hey, if you want to fucking do your thing here on the yard, if you ain't got no smut on your name, go to the right. If you want to just lock it up right now and not be a part of that, go to the left, right? There was more guys on the left than there was on the right. It started to become an epidemic, okay, where the left was filled up. And it became overwhelming in numbers, so much so that they had to flip so many general population yards to fit all these guys that were going to SNY route, because a lot of guys started to realize that was a way. You got to understand, when you're dealing with cutthroats, cheaters, thieves, murderers, and killers, we're always, as that lifestyle, trying to figure out an easy way to the bag. Always trying to figure out an easy way to get over. It's just the nature of the beast. Everyone's trying to get over on everyone. That's the way it is. So people started to realize that these SNY yards were a way to get over. They were a safer program, or at least they believed it was a safer program. They can go over there and play. You could be whoever you want to be. It's kind of like social media. You could play a role. You could fake it till you make it. Right, Wes Watson? You could do whatever the fuck you want to and be whoever you want to be. But what they started to realize in doing that was there was a lot of stone cold killers over there. And it wasn't like you think it was. Without politics and structure and the militant ways, man, it gets a little bit more tricky. So it started to get more violent. It became a point where in the 2000s, them SNY yards were actually more violent than 50-50 or general population yards. There was a lot of stories coming out of there. People were getting hit. A lot of people were joining these dropout gangs. And they're called dropout gangs because people they figured have dropped out of organizations or groups and went over there and then started something different. But literally, man, I don't really like to call them that. I just call them what they are. And they're just the next evolution of gangs. I was about to say revolution, but this ain't fucking Great America. The evolution of gangs, right? So somewhere along the line, Savage Studios became involved in that. When he started to spit that propaganda on YouTube, when he started to push that narrative, people felt some type of way. Now, the man who killed him, Manuel Robledo, his history is different. Not a lot of people know his history. And I'm going to tell you, when his name was first put out there, because he was caught not even an hour or so after he killed Savage Studios, right? A lot of people, myself included, thought it was someone, the picture was put out there. We kind of ran with that, realized somewhere along the line that that wasn't him. And I think because, everybody was looking for the very first Manuel Robledo from that area. And there's a lot of them, I'm sure, right? And it come to find out it was someone else. Now, there was a lot of people saying that Savage Studio was killed because he disrespected a certain prison organization when he was inebriated one night. He was drunk. He was on a live. He started to talk about one of his homeboys from Pacoima, one of his homeboys in the past, and how he was no longer welcome to his neighborhood. And instead of embracing it and understanding why, that's like myself. I know I am not welcome to certain places. Doesn't mean I will not go as a man. Don't mean I won't pull up whenever I have to or do what I have to do and take care of my business as a man. But I understand the situation, and I'm not scared or sugarcoating nothing or adding preservatives when I say, hey, I'm no longer welcome with open arms. Okay, I got homeboys that still rock with me, still fuck with me to this day, and they know what it is. But then there's other younger homeboys, a new generation of people that are like, no, this guy's on social media, giving up too much game on our hood, telling old stories that we don't want out there, I guess, right? But when at the same time, the people that they figure are still in good standings, they could tell those stories and do the same exact thing, but it's just picking and choosing and individualism, right? I know because I was part of that poison. I was part of indoctrinating people like that. I was one of the first homeboys out there saying, hey, fuck these dropouts, let's get them, right? And now that I'm on the other side, it's like, okay, we got you, right? So I think Savage Studios was bitter about that and wanted to prove, he was the type of individual that wanted to prove that he couldn't be punked. And so as in the midst of doing that, saying that he'll go to his body, he'll do everything, he disrespected an organization that he should not have. Okay? One, they did not have that coming. Two, someone of his caliber and his character should never disrespect them. And I think when it came out of his mouth, he realized. And so the next day he made an apology, right? It's too late. That's too late. The disrespect was already there. It's put out for millions of people to see. And I remember even thinking to myself when I seen it, wow, I had never in my life seen someone so careless to do something like that. To figure that they were untouchable or that they couldn't be seen or that this social media shit was more realer than what that was. The history dictates that's as real as it gets, right? And so a lot of people give me a hard time. Gun, why do you respect these guys? And why do you, it's not do I respect them. It's I give them the respect that they earned. And to be quietly as it's kept, man, without saying scary or any words like that, I just know who to fuck with and who not to, okay? I know my place in the pecking order of life. And if I wanted to be a part of that place, man, which I once was at one point, functioning up under people and doing things like that lifestyle, then I would continue to have been in that lifestyle. But obviously, I'm not. So I respect the guys that are still doing their thing, man. I don't hate any active gang members or any guys from a prison organization because I understand they're the truth. And that's their life, man, and they're really about that. So you got to respect it. Anyways, when he disrespected, everybody was shocked. And I think he was. That's why he apologized the next day. Now, a lot of people are saying he died because of that. Okay? I don't think so. Okay? I'm not saying that he did or he didn't. I'm saying I think his was a personal beef. I think, ultimately, Savage Studios, he beefed with so much people, it would be hard to pinpoint exactly when him and Manuel Robledo decided to start corresponding. But they did. Savage Studios started to get real loose. And one of the things he was doing was he was breeding and selling puppies. And you have a lot of people that DM you when you're a social media character or personality. You have a lot of people that have good intentions, want to meet you, want to be your friend. And then you have a lot of people that are fishing, trying to find out your whereabouts, want to get the clout off your name, want to see bad things happen to you. So they'll try to play the role, the nice role, so they can rock you to sleep and then ultimately do something bad to you. I think Manuel Robledo didn't start out that way. I don't think, just by everything that I've seen, that he had bad intentions towards Savage. I believe he really, honestly, was truly trying to buy a puppy. There's been DMs shown between the two, or messages that he left on YouTube, where he was inquiring into the puppies, and Savage Studios said they were gone. I think maybe, there was a deal there that just didn't come out right, man, and he was feeling some type of way. There's principles in the game. Sometimes if someone makes promises to you, it doesn't matter who they are, whether they're in social media or in real life, and they make promises to you and they don't fulfill those promises, people can feel played out of position. And then they see you high-siding and doing what you're doing, and it starts to develop from what once was just a damn to a fuck this dude, damn, right? To a hatred. Now, the people that are saying, oh, he was sent by an organization, or he's a hitter for this and that, who knows what this guy is? At the end of the day, man, why even say that to get this man validated as something that he might not be a part of, right? Whether he is or he isn't, that's his business. At the end of the day, man, Savage had so many damn enemies and woofed on so many people. This was bound to happen from somebody. I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did, because there was a lot going on. I remember, not even necessarily on YouTube. On YouTube, that was the melodramatics. But when he got to TikTok, it got a lot worse. And I remember the conversations we had, and I would tell him, hey, man, why don't you just calm down, bro? Like, is it that serious? Like, treat people with respect. Because he kept telling me, you don't respect me, you don't respect me. And I said, I respect all men. But when you're acting out of character and you're displaying characteristics, I can only give you the energy you're giving me. You don't give me a chance to voice that. Well, you just try to sound like you're smarter than everyone else. These were the conversations we had, right? And I said, I don't think I'm smarter than anyone. But I don't think anyone's more intelligent than I am. I think we could have an intelligent conversation with good, valid points, both of us. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I was in the right and I was trying to school him, because that's not the case. We both had words for each other, man. I believe he woofed too much. I believe you could only do so much. I remember I dropped a video about a month predicting before his death, right, that it was getting too crazy for him. He was beefing with some kid on TikTok. I happened to come across it. And he was getting a little too flamboyant, a little too complacent, a little too comfortable in his willings and dealings with these guys. He was eating cheese puff Cheetos. He had crumbs all over his mouth. And he was basically clowning, saying, man, this cheese puff, you're a cheese puff, bro. This cheese puff to me right here means more than your life, more than you. And then a couple months later, he gets unalived. He gets killed, right? Now, I believe Manuel Robledo knew Savage Studios personally through text messages. Whether he was rocking him to sleep and hunting him like people are saying, I don't know that to be true, man. I believe something Savage said personally to him set him off, I believe, honestly, this guy probably was trying to get a puppy. He probably was trying to establish some type of network with Savage, and maybe Savage being the person he is. And I can tell you from real conversations, he could flip a switch. We went one time from everything was good and there was going to be a fight set up. He was going to box another YouTuber. And I was not promoting it, or I was just trying to help facilitate the conversations or whatever. And if I can get a little bag out of it, why not? Right? So in the midst of that, he didn't like the way the other guy was basically saying, hey, bro, that guy's not on my level. I'm going to go in there and beat his ass in the boxing ring, right? Which that's what you're supposed to do to hype a fight. If you agree to fight with someone, you don't really hate them or want to kill them in a boxing ring. You just want to go in there and settle your differences or make a little bag, right? And I believe that that's how he felt. Savage got mad because I agreed with that. I agreed like, hey, you probably won't beat this guy. I don't know, Savage, but what I seen on the boardwalk, believe me, I know. My Cholo Trucker fight didn't look the greatest. It wasn't impressive. But at the same time, that boardwalk fight wasn't impressive either, right? So I was like, and I don't know this guy from Steve or Adam, Sparkleño, but I do know that everything I've heard about him, he does have hands. So I just wasn't on Savage Studios' side in that fight, but I didn't hate him. And he went crazy, right? He flipped the switch, and I was all kinds of bitches and punks and rats and suckers, right? And the cool part was, like, we were just talking 2 days before, and it was all good. Right? But I just didn't understand. So I can understand how he could get people mad and upset to the point motherfuckers want to take a drive and pull up. He was very antagonizing, an antagonizing person. Was he a bad person? No. Did he have bad traits? Yes. We all have bad traits. It is what it is. I think Manuel Robledo felt wind of them bad traits. And I believe ultimately, man, the disrespect was too much for him to let go of. There's guys, man, they don't take disrespect lightly. There's principalities to this shit. There's principles. And I believe that's why Savage Studios was ultimately murdered. I think it's forever going to be a mystery unless you're seldom with Manny Robledo and he decides to tell you exactly why he did it. You know, I believe that people that are saying a certain prison organization was behind it, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. To even be speaking on that situation and throwing that out there, they're full of shit, right? If it was or it wasn't, that's not to be spoken on the airwaves, right? Do I believe it was? I don't. I believe it was a personal thing that went wrong over them damn puppies. Truly, I've talked to a few other people. They believe the same thing. I believe, you know, that Savage Studios played this guy out of pocket and he played the wrong one out of pocket. And this guy had nothing to lose. And it wasn't a thing where, oh, if I'm the one that kills Savage, I'm going to get all this clout. Because he's locked up and there's no clout for it. You know, I mean, I'm sure if he's functioning, if he's active, if he's whatever, he's going to go in there and people are going to be like, oh, you're the one that killed that dropout? Cool, cool. But that's it. And the beat goes on. Do you understand? There's a lot of guys in there for hitting dropouts. There's a lot of guys in there for hitting chomos or snitches. And there's a lot of people in there like that. You know, you get the, all right, and that's about it. There's nothing special and extra. I don't think this guy would sacrifice his life for that. But I think he would sacrifice his life for principle. That's just how some people are. People will kill you for the minutest things. They'll kill you for the smallest shit. I've seen people get whacked over $5. Okay, the level of disrespect is all the same. It's in the same spectrum. It's all the fucking same. You know, if you disrespect someone that doesn't take it too lightly, whether it's something way down here or something up here, they don't see no up or top. They see the middle. It is what it is. With that being said, I think that's why Savage Studios was ultimately murdered. Disrespect. Disrespect to an individual, not to a group. With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. Get everything that you want coming, and remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive, the struggle, the struggle, the strive. Again, I tell these stories not to glorify, and I'm not trying to sulk Savage Studios' name like people say. I'm just keeping it real, man. I was asked, you know, why do I believe he was killed? Do I think it was a setup? Do I think, obviously, you know, he was set up. And obviously, if Savage Studios did have words with this guy, you know, I don't know why he would have him in his presence. But I truly believe, you know, wherever it took him, this guy, once he was locked in, he was locked all the way in. And now he's locked up forever. It's crazy how life works out, man. The gun.